Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Game 5, done and dusted. The New York Knicks are the NBA champions, completing another comeback in Game 5. Not as bad as Game 4, but they completed a comeback in Game 5, basically being down the entirety of the game. But when it mattered the most in the fourth quarter, the New York Knicks wound it up victorious, leaving the San Antonio Spurs in a complete disarray, walking out of their home arena, knowing full well that half of the arena was chanting for New York, and the New York Knicks win the championship in enemy territory. It hasn't been a new story for the Knicks. Almost every series they've won this entire playoff run has been on the road. They've been there, they've done that, they focused and locked in, and they got the results that they needed to get. But my goodness, it is finally over. And I'm happy for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is hopefully the violence can come to an end. Unfortunately today, it will not come to an end. There are a lot of Spurs fans, I'm talking about the Spurs fans here, that have reacted to how the New York Knicks have reacted with their wins. And they're assaulting Knicks fans now. Oh, we've made it personal, haven't we? And not only that, Knicks fans, of course, I've seen live streams about the streets of New York, and my goodness, it feels like The Walking Dead out there. It feels like I'm walking to an undead of Knicks fans just looking for blood. That's honestly how I feel watching some of these live streams of the cities of New York. A beautiful city, I must say, by the way, but a city filled with carnage and chaos. It is unbelievable how these streets have changed in the matter of seconds from winning a championship. But again, the more that I talk about it, the more of a migraine I'm going to get. All I'm going to say is, for both parties, the Spurs and the New York Knicks now, because the Spurs fans have reacted, just please keep things respectful. There is no need. Again, we don't need more comas. We don't need more situations where people are in life or death situations. We just... It's a game of basketball, man. Like, with all... I know it's a big deal. Us men love our sports. I get it. Sports is a very big thing. And it's emotional, and you're going to get attached, and you're going to love, you're going to cry, you're going to hate. It's all of that. The Knicks fans have had a lot of hating over the past 30 plus years. I should say 50 years, 53 years, if I'm not mistaken. You know, they've had a lot of people just absolutely crap on their organization, and they've had to dish out a lot of crap to other people's organization as well. I get it. And for the Spurs, I get it. Blood for blood, retaliation, you know, you hit our fans, we hit your fans, but my goodness, can we just put an end to this complete misery? And I feel a complete and utter shame that both organizations have not said a thing about it. So I will say something, just please stay safe on these streets. New York fans, hopefully now it'll just be Knicks fans on the streets. At least you can celebrate with each other and no violence needs to come to anybody. Of course, people are using this opportunity as well to get to do unnecessary crimes, breaking and entering, theft, stealing, breaking into buildings just for fun, vandalism, all these sort of situations. This is why I want organizations like the Knicks and the Spurs to stand up and say something about it. The Knicks have been quiet. Deathly quiet. Some of their players have spoken out, but the actual organization, the front office, the actual social media team have not said a thing about this, and it's really, really upsetting. So we're just going to sweep it under the rug and pretend like it never happened. In 6 months' time, everybody's going to forget that someone was put into a coma because of the New York Knicks fans. It's insane. It's insane how much under the rug this is going to go down. Even the president hasn't said anything about this, has he? What a shame. What a shame. And then, yeah, for the Spurs, again, please don't resort to that level. The San Antonio Spurs are known for being the classiest of classiest organizations. I look up to the San Antonio Spurs as an organization. Fundamentally well run, almost every single season of their existence. Great family mentality. We're all in it together. They bring fans into their celebrations. Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of all time. One of the greatest human beings of all time. If he spoke up about it, I guaranteed you people would listen. So I feel like retaliating would have been just wrong. But they've retaliated, some of their fans. So one of the fans in New York retaliated and literally sent most of that gang packing, bro. It's insane. Some of these things I've seen. But anyway, I'm not going to talk about it any further because I hope after today we don't see anything more about it. Hopefully no one got seriously hurt this time around. And we'll wait and see what the bloodbath will be in a few days' time when there's the parade once the Knicks return back to New York. But the New York Knicks as a team is one of the most likable teams I think I've seen in recent history. There have been a lot of genuine people that actually really like this New York Knicks team, and it's because they have really likable guys. Jalen Brunson, the leadership qualities he brings makes him so likable. So, I wouldn't say relatable, but so likable. His mentality is just so different, and the quality of his game proves he's one of the best in the world, and people really are drawn to that. OG Anunoby, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated and the most likable players in the entire world. He doesn't need to speak. He doesn't need to smile. He gets the job done. Karl-Anthony Towns. Do people understand the story that Karl-Anthony Towns went through in Minnesota? The entire span of his NBA career has been hit with brutal hits after brutal hits after brutal hits. He has had one of the worst stories. In many ways, it's one of the best stories because you can see where he's at now, but one of the worst stories to go through in the entire NBA. If there's anyone that I'm happy that won a championship for New York, it's Karl-Anthony Towns. Sure, Brunson winning one in New York, his hometown, living 1 hour away. That's great, amazing. Of course, I'm happy for him. OG Anunoby actually getting a championship. He played for the Raptors. He won one ring, but he didn't really play. Getting one and making a big difference in that series is amazing. But Karl-Anthony Towns, for the personal attachment and just over what he had to go through, losing his one of his family members, his mother, in the way that it happened as well. Just the story that he's went through. I appreciate Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm so happy he won a championship. So yes, the fans might be the only reason that people don't want the New York Knicks to win a championship. It's probably because of the fans, but the actual team itself, I couldn't be more happy that they won a championship. And again, they did it in an underdog manner, and they did it with absolute resiliency. They weren't put to the test for most of these playoff series. The Hawks won 2 games. The first round, the Atlanta Hawks were the only team that took the Knicks to Game 6. The first round at Atlanta Hawks were the only team to do that. CJ McCollum was the only player to genuinely cook against the New York Knicks for more than one game. That's incredible. That's unfathomable that a first-rounded team in the Eastern Conference, the weak Eastern Conference, by the way, took the Knicks to the toughest challenge they had. They swept Philly, they swept Cleveland, and they beat the Spurs in Game 5. I think the Spurs, in terms of a game-for-game perspective, were a lot closer than the Hawks, but in terms of actually taking it to Game 6, it was the first-round team that did that to New York. But in this specific series, the resiliency came in the last 2 games. They showed their resiliency 10 times over. The 29-point deficit coming back in that game in New York is an incredible, historic game that now will be remembered for the rest of time because they won the championship. If they had lost the championship, that game probably gets thrown in the bin, essentially. It might be shown randomly on an NBA Togethers or an NBA Cares program for YouTube, and you might see that game come into fruition as one of those all-time greats. But now people will genuinely remember this game. I can tell my kids about this game one day. This was the greatest comeback I have ever seen in an NBA Finals. Because it's true. And it's a fact. And the New York Knicks holds that possession now. They hold a championship. Jalen Brunson holds Finals MVP. But they also hold something that maybe people won't talk about now, but they'll remember it in 5 years. They have the greatest comeback in the NBA Finals ever. That happened in Game 4. Resiliency. Then Game 5, they were down in San Antonio. Basically didn't have a lead until the 4th quarter. Yet when it mattered the most, they were the team that rose to the occasion, showed their heart, showed their desire, their mentality, and they win Game 5 in enemy territory, winning the NBA championship, being down the whole game. Resiliency. I said it in my Bulls video. If you guys don't know, I have a Bulls channel. Feel free to check that out if you're a Bulls fan. Clearly, you can tell I'm a Bulls fan. I'm a Bulls fan. You know what I mean? You could tell. No secrets. If there's one thing I could take from the New York Knicks, sure, they have incredible players. Passing big, and Karl-Anthony Towns increased his passing, facilitating dramatically this season. Big part of them winning a lot of these games. I would take a guy like Jalen Brunson's leadership. I would take OG Anunoby and the work ethic he puts in. I'd take a Josh Hart and a Mitchell Robertson's offensive rebounding. Again, great team effort. Put all those things together, you get a championship team. But the one thing I would take is their resiliency. In their head, they never thought they were going to lose. In their head, it was 0-0 the entire time. In their head, it is literally win it no matter the cost. And they did that. And they did that quite well. So congratulations to the New York Knicks. I'm very, very happy that it was you that won the championship. I will be honest, I did tip against you because I thought the Spurs were the favorites, and I'm not going to shy away from that. But I will say congratulations and salute to your organization for absolutely going crazy in this final series and being the most dominant team in the entire playoffs. Oklahoma City can't say that. The Spurs can't say that. The Detroit Pistons can't say that. The Boston Celtics can't say that. The Philadelphia 76ers can't say that. The Lakers can't say that. The Rockets can't say that. But the New York Knicks can say that. Not only because they won the championship, but they did it convincingly. They did it convincingly. This reminds me, I know the New York Knicks are not the 2015 Warriors or even the 2012 Miami Heat. I don't think they're that quality. But you could make the case that their playoff run is just as good as some of theirs. The 2012 Miami Heat team, or the 2012 they lost. 2013 Miami Heat team. Actually, no, they did win in 2012. It was 2011 they lost. But the 2012, 2013 Miami Heat team, the 2015 Golden State Warriors team, they had some pretty good playoff runs. I mean, I think the Warriors basically swept the entire damn playoffs. You know what I mean? Those were incredible runs for those teams that ultimately led to championships. I think you got to put the New York Knicks run, even if you don't think they're the same quality, the actual run you have to put up there. They represented the East well, they dominated every round, and they won the championship convincingly. You can't ask for much more if you're a New York Knicks fan. For the Spurs, obviously, commiserations. As an organization, very classy, very well respected. I know a lot of people now are turning on the Spurs because of some of the dirty plays they did in this series. And look, again, that's a conversation for another time. Ultimately, they're losers, and I don't necessarily want to put more salt in the wounds. That's not my job to do as a neutral fan. Here's what I think the Spurs should do. They need to go back to the drawing board. They need to assess certain things. Maybe they got to make a trade or two. But ultimately, they are going to be a team that's in and around this conversation of the NBA Finals and the Western Conference Finals for many years to come. As long as Wemby stays healthy and they've got the group that they've got around them, guys like the Harper and the Castles and the Champagnes and all these other guys, as long as they've got that group around them, they will be in and around this conversation for many years to come. And they'll most likely get at least one ring. Very good possibility they'll get at least one. They're set up quite well for the entire future of their team. This does not remind me of the Oklahoma City Thunder way back in 2011 when they had 3 incredible all-star players, but they weren't ready and they decided to let it go. No, this Spurs team, they're ready. They're ready to be competitors for the next 10 or so years. Almost like what Milwaukee was with Giannis, like 8 years just constantly competing before, you know, the whole situation with them, or whatever the case may be. Or a team like the Lakers that are always just in and around the playoffs all the time. I think the Spurs will be in that conversation. They'll be in and around this finals talk for many, many years. And yes, this one hurts, but this is the first time you were in the playoffs in nearly 5 years and you got to the NBA Finals. You beat the best Oklahoma City Thunder team that there was. You did that. No one else did. You did that. Maybe the Knicks couldn't have done that if it went to that point. We'll never know. Hypotheticals don't mean anything in this sport. So take, I guess, the beating that you did receive, lick the wounds, heal up. Off-season will be very, very, very important. You have a couple of draft selections that you might need to make. Maybe some free agents that you need to sign. But as long as you keep the team relatively the same, go at it again. Go at it again. More experience. You now know what it takes to at least get to that final stage. You know how hungry you need to be. You know how resilient you need to be. You can learn a lot from this New York Knicks team. Just like every team in the league can. You can learn a lot from this Knicks team. Learn from them. Learn about that resiliency. Learn about that never say die attitude. And then maybe the next finals picture that you're in, even if you're the underdogs or not, you could be that resilient team that never says die and ultimately never gives up and completes comebacks like this. That's what I think we need to be looking for if you're a Spurs fan, or you know, and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. You were right there. Every game was close. You can't say you weren't close. Every single game. I know you lost in 5, but all 5 games were close. Within a couple of possessions of winning and losing. So it really comes down to that grit and that desire to win. And that might have been the difference in the end, that resiliency that the Knicks had. So learn from it and see what happens. Very impressed, though, with the series overall. You know, it wasn't as offensive-minded as I thought it would be, but, man, there were dogs out there. There were some really, really tough battles. It felt old school in many ways. Yeah, but congratulations to New York. Congratulations to Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and the whole gang. Mitchell Robertson, who most likely won't even be in New York next season. I think a team might try to swoop him up. He might have got his ring and wants more money. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. But congratulations to that Knicks team. I don't know if you win another one, but for now, celebrate the one that you got. Focus on another one next season. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.